Did a love affair with a president lead to the downfall of Hollywood's most iconic sex symbol? Marilyn Monroe, one of the most desired women in history, was more than just a pretty face. She was a woman who mastered the art of allure, captivated the world, and built a lasting legacy that still influences pop culture today. But Marilyn's life was not just about glamour and seduction. Beneath the surface, she was a strategic mastermind, a woman who used intelligence, charm, and psychology to craft one of the most powerful personal brands in history. Today, we'll uncover three habits that made Marilyn Monroe a legend. Habits that transformed her from a struggling actress into the ultimate sex symbol of the 20th century. Let's dive in. Before she was Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean Mortensen, born in 1926 into a life of instability. Raised in foster homes and orphanages, Norma Jean learned from an early age that the world does not give freely. Everything must be taken, earned, or seduced. She had no father figure. Her mother was mentally unstable. She had no wealth, no protection, no certainty. But what she did have was an unstoppable drive to escape the ordinary and become something greater. Her first lesson? Transformation is power. She bleached her brown hair blonde, studied the most desirable women of her time, and changed the way she walked, talked, and carried herself. Norma Jean was dead. Marilyn Monroe was born. Her rise wasn't overnight. At first, Hollywood rejected her. She was told she wasn't talented enough, tall enough, or special enough to make it in the industry. So she outsmarted the system. How? 1. The art of presence. One of Marilyn's greatest strengths was her ability to command attention without saying a single word. Actors, producers, and journalists all recall the same phenomenon. Marilyn Monroe could turn herself on at will. There's a famous story of Marilyn walking through New York City completely unnoticed. She blended in with the crowd. But then, as if flipping a switch, she tilted her head, adjusted her posture, smiled in that signature way, and suddenly, everyone recognized her. She understood presence. She knew that the way you carry yourself dictates how others perceive you. She crafted an aura, a blend of confidence, playfulness, and vulnerability that made her irresistible to both men and women. She studied the great actresses of the past, mimicking their movements, their grace, their ability to hold attention. Even today, modern celebrities study her body language. Her ability to turn sexy into a controlled, calculated skill rather than an accident of genetics. Marilyn understood the psychology of desire. People don't just admire confidence, they gravitate toward it. The power of reinvention. Marilyn wasn't just an actress, she was a brand. She understood something most Hollywood stars didn't. Mystery is power. Unlike other actresses who clung desperately to their youth, Marilyn built an image so powerful that it could never be erased. Even in interviews, she was careful. She spoke with childlike innocence, but carried an underlying sensuality that made her unforgettable. She played both the innocent girl next door and the untouchable goddess, ensuring that no one could fully define her. And she used this duality to her advantage. When the studios undervalued her, she left Hollywood, studying acting in New York under the legendary Lee Strasberg. When she returned, she demanded more money, more respect, and more control. And she got it. She proved that reinvention isn't just a strategy, it's survival. 3. Emotional vulnerability. Most people think Marilyn was famous because of her beauty. They're wrong. Many women in Hollywood were beautiful, but Marilyn made people feel something. She wasn't just seductive, she was relatable. She let the world see her struggle. She spoke about her loneliness, her insecurities, and her desire to be loved. Unlike other stars who tried to appear perfect, Marilyn knew that people don't connect with perfection. They connect with raw humanity. Her famous quote says it all. "I'm selfish, impatient, and a little insecure. I make mistakes, I am out of control, and at times hard to handle. But if you can't handle me at my worst, then you sure as hell don't deserve me at my best." That vulnerability made her larger than life. Even men, who might have first admired her for her beauty, were drawn to the mystery, depth, and sadness behind her eyes. She understood that sex appeal is not just about physicality, it's about emotional connection. Marilyn Monroe had the world at her feet, but with success came enemies. Her alleged affairs with powerful men, including President John F. Kennedy and his brother, Robert Kennedy, only added to her legend. Yet she was also trapped. The same Hollywood machine that created her eventually consumed her. Her relationships were turbulent. Studios still tried to control her. The weight of being an icon crushed her. On August 5th, 1962, Marilyn Monroe was found dead in her Los Angeles home. Some say it was suicide. Others believe she was silenced by forces far more powerful than Hollywood. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain. Her story did not end in 1962. Even today, Marilyn Monroe remains one of the most recognizable women in history. Her face is on posters, t-shirts, coffee mugs. She is studied, idolized, and still inspires generations of women and men alike. What can we learn from her? Presence is power. The way you carry yourself changes the way the world sees you. Reinvention is survival. If they underestimate you, prove them wrong. Emotional connection is everything. Perfection doesn't make you memorable. Vulnerability does. Marilyn Monroe wasn't just a sex icon. She was a strategist, a fighter, and a woman who turned herself into a legend. And even in death, she still captivates the world.